So our speaker today is Dean Jon Pedersen, Dean of the College of Education and Human Sciences. He comes to us via several stops, including one small school down in Norman, which we won't mention. Grew up in Nebraska, I understand. And he's actually a member of our Rotary Club. We've not seen him for the last several weeks because he's been involved in the University of Tulsa, not the University, Oklahoma State campus in Tulsa. So let's welcome back Jon Pedersen.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, I've got to say that I really missed being here. Although being in Tulsa and being on our campus in Tulsa certainly is really important for us as we continue to develop that campus and our presence there. So again, thank you. This I thought would be a good opportunity to reintroduce myself, but also introduce our new college. This is a college that is a merger of two old colleges, College of Human Sciences, formerly known as the College of Home Economics a number of years ago, and Human Environmental Science. So it's gone through a number of name changes, as has Education, Health, and Aviation, which is the other college that merged. And I often get introduced or get questions, and a lot of times people focus on the first part of that name, the College of Education, which of course is an important part of who we are, but also we do so much more. And so I just wanted to take this opportunity to, again, share with you a little bit. There's some handouts on most of the tables around. Certainly if you want more of those, I can bring those, but I know how those handouts go as well. So information. So let's go ahead and get started. Kind of getting to know us, who we are. We are certainly not the largest college on campus. That belongs to my great colleague, Dean Kreutz in College of Arts and Sciences, but we are fairly large, 4,000 students. We have 7 units or 7 departments, actually 3 departments and 4 schools within our college. And as you can see, quite a few faculty and staff, 170 plus faculty, 180 staff, 27 centers, clinics, and so on and so on and so on. So we are a large entity and have a lot of students and a lot of presence. I'd like to take you through each one of the units, and I won't spend a lot of time on each one of these except to give you some overview of what each of these does. And I think one of the things that excited me about coming here from the University of South Carolina, where I was dean for 5 years, was the fact of the nature, the makeup of this particular college. And I had always envisioned, as a former educator, former science teacher, I taught chemistry, which I know everybody's favorite subject, right? Yep, see, yeah, at least there's always one of us, one. But as we look at education, and I know a lot of you follow closely about teacher education, about the public schools, private schools, charter schools, what's going on in the state and the nation. There's a lot of emphasis, of course, put on these schools, especially in Oklahoma, especially it was true in South Carolina, in terms of the responsibilities of the schools, certainly for the teaching and education of children, which it should be. But one of the things that we know is about 25% of the variability in achievement can be attributed to in-school experiences. And when you think about that, that means about 75% of the variability in terms of achievement is attributed to outside school experiences. And that includes things like health, certainly nutritional health, physical health, mental health, of course, economics. There's a whole host of things that contribute to that child's life. Well, as a teacher, I always struggled and tried to figure out, when I was dean at South Carolina, well, how do we bring everybody together? Really, if we think about people, and certainly that's our passion and purpose in this college, but when you think about people and in particular children, how do you really address the totality of the lived experiences of these children, human beings, if all we do is just focus on that education piece? So I think as you see what our college represents, and what we do in terms of the totality of a human lived experience, you'll see why I was so excited about coming here. In fact, that we address so many of those challenges that our folks in Oklahoma face and across the nation in terms of all of their lived experiences. So for example, one of our units is called Community Health Sciences Counseling and Counseling Psychology, which is a mouthful. But if you look at the list of things there, a list of degrees or program areas that we have, we cover a number of different areas. Everything from nursing. So we have within our college nursing. Right now, it's an RN to BSN, a 2-year program. We are trying to move forward, hopefully, keep our fingers crossed on having a 4-year BSN program on campus in conjunction with our Tulsa campus. So we do all sorts of health promotion, health science, public health, counseling, psychology within this department. We run clinics, family clinics out of our college, and those are accessible by, of course, everybody in our university community as well as community of Stillwater and beyond. And then we have a department called Design, Housing, and Merchandising. And this department is fashion design and production fashion merchandising. And it is also on interior design, and maybe mostly we do interior design in terms of businesses, not a much around house interior design. And then retail merchandising leadership. And one of the interesting things here is you think about, okay, fashion design, and we actually do the fashion design where we have the runway shows. In fact, we just had about a month ago, our annual end of year for seniors in the design degree. They did a fashion show. It's called Euphoria. And we were so thrilled this year. Our president, Casey Schrum, was actually the first model. One of our students designed an outfit specifically for Casey. And one of the things they do is they have a 3D imaging process where no longer do they do fitting on the human body, but it's all done through a computer and through 3D imaging. So they body scan an individual and drape and hang the material and create the fashion. But also the fashion design is around things like firefighting, police and law enforcement. We've done work for NASA. There's so many different aspects of fashion design and material science that we do. It's pretty astonishing. They also do within the interior design and even into fashion, they do virtual work. So we have a virtual reality lab within this department that we do work. We do work on aging and gerontology. So it's a broad spectrum again in terms of the work we do within this department. Then we have educational foundation leaderships in aviation. And some people see this and they say, well, this is kind of like the remnants of everything put into one department. But actually, it is actually a good fit. And right away, people will say, well, aviation, how in the world does aviation fit with a College of Education and Human Sciences? And I always like to say, well, thinking about it this way. Let me give you an example of we prepare professionals in many different areas. Nursing, as I mentioned, we prepare teachers to teach. Our basic premise here is we prepare aviation educators. So most of our students that go through, they become certified flight instructors, and many of them actually work for us. Now, a lot of them want to go through this process of being a certified flight instructor to gain hours in the plane, so they can go on and work for Envoy, American, United, UPS, and they do. Some go to private entities. They'll work for Walmart or other corporations or for a company called NetJets, for example. But we do a lot around, really teaching aviators how to teach others to be aviators. So it's a very, very interesting program. Also, aviation administration, security and safety is another part of that. We have about 38 planes. We have a brand new facility, which I'm going to show you a little video if we have time coming up on that. But also this department does educational leadership, educational psychology, higher education, learning design and technology. We have a great lab around learning design and technology, and I do a lot with helping students and helping teachers and others integrate certainly technology and design, and certainly our research aspect. We have a Center for Research, Education and Measurement, and Social Foundations. Human development and family science. Again, I won't read through every one of these, but you can see there's this broad perspective of all of these things tying back to one piece, and that's people, human beings. So whether it's child and family services, marriage and family therapy, financial planning, human development and family science, family consumer science, these all relate back to the human being and how we impact Oklahomans in particular in terms of their everyday lives. And I would say another part of what isn't represented in these slides that I don't want to miss out on and mention is the fact that, you know, we are a land grant institution, and a big part of who we are as a land grant is our extension work. And each one of these aspects of our departments, mainly in the human sciences, but looking more broadly, we're looking to expand that through our extension efforts. And what that means is we touch lives throughout the state of Oklahoma. We have a presence in every county, and I'll look to my expert over here, my partner and colleague, Ramona, in terms of extension, but it is really exciting about what we can do and how we impact everyday lives of Oklahomans every single day of the year. Kinesiology, applied health and recreation. And again, another department, another unit that you look at and you say, okay, great. You know, there's so much we do around health and wellness in terms of recreation, recreational management, recreational therapy, applied exercise science. And I'm going to watch my time here to make sure I don't go over. Nutritional sciences, again, you bet, nutritional sciences, dietetics, yes, allied health diet. You know, and it's so exciting because when you look at departments, and I'll use nutritional sciences as an example, we do work on obesity, cancer, heart-related issues, heart disease, so many things that we do there that relates to, again, the health and well-being of humans, as well as dietetics, nutrition, public health nutrition. Again, a broad spectrum of how we address the everyday lives of people and impact people's lives. And then teaching, learning, and educational sciences. And this is typically, when we say education and human science, this is typically where people begin to focus on the idea of elementary education, secondary education, and certainly that is an important part of who we are. But there's so much else there that wraps around into what we do as a college and who we are and what we represent as a college itself. So are there any questions about any of those particular units? Yes. They were. Hotel restaurant management was part of the College of Human Sciences prior to the merger. They opted to remove themselves from that college and go to the School of Business, Spear School of Business, which, you know, in reality probably is an okay fit for them, just in terms of the aspects of what they do in terms of hotels and the business aspect of that. They are still in our building. The old, what was called Human Sciences building, is now the Nancy Randolph Davis building. So tailors and all of the kitchens and all of those things are still in our building. HTM, Hotel Tourism Management, is located physically in our building as well. They are on the second floor of that building as you enter the building on the new east side or north side, northeast side of that. Yeah. Yes.
38 planes?
Yes.
How do you handle the liability issues with instructors and students and all of that? I mean, that's got to be that has to be a major deal. Give us some background.
Sure. Well, one, we're accredited, and certainly FAA has visits multiple times during the year. All of our flight instructors are certified flight instructors. Certainly we're bonded, and we have insurance, and we work very closely with Vice President Joe Weaver around all of that in terms of our insurance and such. I can say this, and not that I'm superstitious, but knock on wood, you know, we have it in years, and it's been decades that we've had this program, we've not had any major accidents.
So it's just like self-insurance, that if there is an issue that
Well,
you're,
it's-
you're essentially on your own as a dean or
No,
department?
no, it is, yeah. Gosh, well, yeah. Maybe I should check in it. No, it is through the university. The university is one who is responsible for that. So it's not only liability in terms of the flight instructors, it's certainly the insurance on the property, on the resources itself. So you think about, we have 38 planes, and each of those planes, let's say on average, costs between $150,000 and $250,000. Or the leases that we have on those, that's also an issue as well. So a major part of one of the things that I want to do is figure out better ways to protect our resources and our assets on that particular area. And certainly we do want to continue to be well covered in terms of insurance, but proudly say that, again, FAA monitors us very, very closely. And we always come away in very good shape with that. But that's a good question. Yes, sir.
How do schools and departments differ?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a question I often ask my faculty. Because of course I came into this. I see schools and departments differing in a couple of different ways. Departments are generally smaller and less diverse in terms of their offerings. Structure-wise and organizationally wise, our schools are organized a bit different. If you can think of it almost as a school is a mini college within a college, if you will. Our schools typically have, anywhere between 50 and about 120 faculty and staff in them. So CEFLA, the Education Leadership Foundations and Aviation, if you look at all of the faculty and staff that are in there, they run about 130 total faculty and staff, if we include our certified flight instructors. Still is the teaching, learning, and educational sciences, about 50 faculty in that department. So they're big entities with a lot of enrollment, and so they're just organized a bit different in terms of their structure. So the school head becomes almost like a mini dean, if you will, within that particular entity. Where departments is more traditional, what you might think of a department is department head with a group of faculty and staff directly under them. Yes.
You still have the mass
Yes.
education program?
We do. We have a 55-year history with NASA, actually. And I was lucky enough, I just returned from Houston Space Center, where we visited with the director of NASA and some other administrators there about our continuing efforts with NASA. They have changed the way that they do their funding. And so we're trying to work with them, figuring out our future. That's really important to us. We just have a large contingency of people that we work with in terms of both staff, faculty, and certainly the impact that we have within communities with children, young adults, and adults. So it is an important piece. Yes, sir.
So we hear a lot about the need for more teachers.
Yeah.
What's the outlook? What's your trend as far as students enrolling to become new teachers?
Well, I just happened to
This was not a setup.
the latest, actually, and I actually have really positive news about that. One of the things that I would say is we're working very hard, obviously, in all our areas to increase enrollment. And it's not only just enrollment, it's retention. And it's one thing to get a group of young people to come to our college, come to our great campus, this great university, but it's how do we keep them there? So let's talk about teachers in particular. Elementary education enrollment is up about 34% for us. Early childhood education enrollment is up about 16%. Our secondary education, including math, science, certainly English and social studies, those are all up about 20%. So we've seen an increase in enrollment. Now, we don't have a long-term pattern established yet, so we don't know, okay, is that just a post-COVID bump? I know other colleges are experiencing some growth in enrollments as well. Glenn, I know you've talked about that, but we're hopeful. Now, one of the things that we've done, and you'll see it maybe on a later slide here, is we've done a lot in terms of trying to raise money for scholarships. We know one of the things that is important for our teacher educators, and certainly everybody else as well, is scholarships and getting them through in a debt-free situation, because we know pay isn't so great, right? So we just had a capital campaign called Educating Forward. And over an 18-month period, we did a remarkable thing. We raised $5 million for scholarships, which to me, in my 32 years in higher education, is unprecedented. I've never seen in 18 months a group come together. This is certainly people within our institution, within our college, but it's folks like you that are committed to teacher education who gave that money. So we're pretty proud of that. We give out over $1 million in scholarships annually. One other thing that I'll mention is we just implemented a program called Oklahoma Thrive, or OK Thrive. One of the things we know is a large number of teachers leave the classroom in the first 3 to 5 years. In fact, in some areas, they'll leave up to 50% of those teachers will leave. So we've got a program that we've developed that is a 3-year coaching and mentoring program. It's one-on-one coaching and mentoring. And so we're going to guarantee to our teacher educators who leave, if you choose, you can have a mentor free of charge to you, one-on-one, not associated with the school in terms of any assessment or state evaluation, but it truly is just a coaching situation. And I had a similar program to this at University of South Carolina that we implemented. We had a 98% retention rate. And so we feel that this is going to help retain teachers, but it's also going to help recruit teachers or students to teaching because of the support that we're willing to give them. Yes,
Do
ma'am.
you track how many of your graduates stay in Oklahoma to teach?
Yeah, sometimes that's a bit difficult, and we do try to track that. We do have a large number that leave specifically for Texas, as an example, because they pay quite a bit more. A beginning math or science teacher in Texas can start off in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Arlington, for somewhere between 50 and 60,000 a year, and that'd be with no experience. So to put a number on it, I don't have a number. We don't have like an actual number, but we do have a fairly significant number of folks that go to Texas. We also have a lot of people that come to us from Texas, so many of those are just going home as well. My guess right now is it'd be probably about 1/3 of our teachers leave the state. Other questions? I'm gonna, in lieu of time here, I'm gonna rock on here just a little bit. These couple of slides are just some of the broad areas that we work on, some of the centers that we have, some of the work we do in terms of outreach. One of the things that I think is just really cool is certainly the Randall and Carol White Reading and Math Center that we do tutoring, and it's an innovative clinic and laboratory. Of course, we have the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute, which is keeping seniors active. So there's a lot of different things we do. We have Center for Family Services. We have the Cleo L. Craig Child Development Lab, and I've got to give a shout out there. Not for any specific Rotary reason here. My friend Back's wife, Sandy, is our director, but we are the second oldest child development lab in the nation. We'll be celebrating our 100th anniversary coming up in 2024. Only Iowa State has one that's older, and they were older by 6 months. So it is quite an example of excellence. We are looking hopefully maybe to expand that, to offer more opportunities for more children. We know we have a long waiting list for that facility. It is actually a phenomenal facility. Again, this is on your table. I won't read through all of these, but these are just some of the highlights of 2021, 2022, some of the things that we've accomplished. And one of the things, do I have time to run this? Is that okay? I want to show you this particular video is of our brand new Rand Linda Booker Flight Center. So this is about a 3-minute video, and I know for those folks online watching, this may not show up, so I apologize. We can get the link for it later. If you haven't been out to the airport and driven by it, I encourage you to do so. If you happen to fly American Airlines coming into Stillwater, look for the bright orange roof. I'd like to put an OSU on top, but they won't let me do that. We had a great turnout for this. Gives you some sense of the scope of this particular building. We have more people that want to come to this program. It is literally one of the best in the nation. We are increasing enrollment from 75 to 125 a year. Part of that is because of this facility that we're able to do that. And that is Linda Booker. These are our Flying Aggies and some of our students. Flying Aggies is the oldest school or university college club, actually. All right. Couple other things, and then I'm going to wrap up. And then again, if you have any other questions, national rankings. Although if you'd ask me personally, it's kind of finicky sometimes of how they create these national rankings, but they are important, and we certainly do like to celebrate them. We have a number of programs that are ranked really high, top 10 nationally. Some of our others certainly in the top 50. But I think one of the other things that is worth mentioning is that our college jumped 20 places in the U.S. News and World Report national rankings for colleges of education and human sciences. So we're pretty proud that we're moving up in the world. And that's all because of the great faculty and staff that we have. Again, people, passion, purpose is who we are. There's our website if you so desire to go learn more. And I'm happy to answer any additional questions.
I wasn't there, but I heard that Wallie Funk gave you a special greeting.
Well, yeah. Wallie Funk is, do you all know who Wallie Funk is? Okay, no, sir. Somebody say no. Wallie Funk was actually one of the original women astronauts in the 60s. Aviator, lifelong aviator, and her lifelong dream, of course, in the 60s, what happened was NASA decided that women were not capable of going into space for whatever reason at the time. We can all fill in that blank. So she is in her 80s, and actually Jeff Bezos took her up in his rocket. And so she was certainly achieved her goal in her mission in life to be in space. And so she is an alumna of us, our college, and of Flying Aggie. We invited her. She came to help us celebrate some of our accomplishments and gave a big talk. And one of the things she talked about was when she met Jeff Bezos, when he came to her house to ask her to fly in space, she didn't know who he was. And she said, well, I don't do any internet thing. I don't have email. And she said, and he kept explaining who he was. And she said, well, what is Amazon? I don't understand. So finally, she was very excited. And she said, so finally, she gave Jeff a big hug. And we were on stage, and I was introducing her with her. And she says, and let me demonstrate with the dean. And said, gave a big hug and said that I just had to slide my hands down and grab him, and told him what a small derriere he had. And then she whispered to me after demonstrating this, you do too. So I guess it's out there on video if you want to search it out. That's my claim to fame now. It's at 15 minutes or 15 seconds of fame. Thank you so much for bringing that up, by the way.